Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer!
Hey everybody! Welcome to another exciting Ask Engineer! We're broadcasting live from the Adafruit secret headquarters, which has survived multiple natural disasters. I'm Lady Ada the Engineer. With me, Databot!
Hello!
On camera control.
How's it
No
going?
longer in a secret, undisclosed location.
Yeah.
We have brought him back.
Yeah, I'm here.
We have a lot of cool stuff to show on the show, and we're going to have tons of time for your questions. So,
Yeah, we think so.
Tell them what's on tonight's show.
Okay, on tonight's show, we're going to recap the show and tell we just did. We survived the hurricane, but we made a giant minty boost. Monday's Labor Day, shipping information. Lady Ada featured on Google+, kind of neat stuff. And Adafruit Kit featured in an Infinity car commercial. What's going on with that?
They didn't give me an Infinity car. What's up with that?
You don't know how to drive anyways.
No.
Next up, Lady Ada featured on American Express
I
news
was turning
site.
it into a reflow oven.
Talked about the Open Source Hardware Summit. Which license to choose for your open source hardware project? We don't know either. Big topic in the forum.
That was
Cat
a
versus Eagle.
spoiler! Don't
Yeah. Next up.
Ian
Dangerous
Lesnick's article.
Ian Lesnick has a great article. We're going to talk about that. People doing the Pepsi challenge with electronics. This is fun to see.
Are we Coke or Pepsi?
I think we're like
Sprite.
Mr. Pibb or something, or Tab.
Dr. Pepper!
Yeah, Royal Crown. New category on the blog, EE Bookshelf. New version of Arduino coming up soon. Software Sunday. Manufacturing Monday. Tutorial Tuesday.
Big
Zen
chips.
Cart Zen's Day. Part Finder Friday. A new product. A product back in stock. A new product announcement that we had. Lots of fun stuff with that. It's not out yet, so don't ask. We'll answer your questions. We'll have a trivia question. All that and more on Ask an Engineer.
And a cat.
And we'll also have a cat.
We showed it, you just didn't say it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's people who are hard of sight. They want you to say, verify that there will be a cat. I know that the cat appearances are important to our audience, so that's good. And also other stuff, we're mostly news.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on.
So,
Want to jump right in?
Yeah, why don't you start the show?
Okay, let's pay some bills and get everyone going who wants a code, who's here for the code. The code is LABOR. That's 10% off many of the kits on Adafruit. Just use the code LABOR on checkout and you'll get 10% off many of the kits. It's most of the stuff we make. This is a cool photo from 1942 when everybody had to go and build planes. Because we needed planes. All right, so we just had the show and tell, and I try to remember the ones in my head, the ones that we had.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just going to try to remember one because it's hard to remember like all 10.
Yeah.
There was a kid, I could say this because he's a kid, 14 years old, made his own kit, sent off to PCBs, learned Eagle, has a website selling kits, and is going to be at Maker Faire selling an electronic kit.
I can't wait till we have like 17-year-old open source hardware kit moguls.
Yeah.
Can you say mogul?
You can say
I
mogul.
don't want to say mogul.
Yeah, you could say mogul.
Kit moguls.
And you know what's interesting is we get asked a lot, and there's a lot of like professionals. Like when I say professionals, like engineers. I've been engineering for 10 years.
Like PhDs.
Yeah, and I just don't know how to get started with selling a kit. Here's a 14-year-old, and you know what's great about kids? They don't really know that this stuff is hard. For them, it's just like, well, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Very cool. So check it out, and we'll have a follow-up post about this. Check out the Google+. But
yeah, we also had some other cool kit.
Yeah.
We had a Wii camera breakout board being shown off.
The Ink Shield was really cool. The Arduino
Ink
project.
Shield, all analog and low-level digital logic Ethernet tester. I really like that because it's a really handy thing. We had a lab coat.
Yeah.
That blinks.
Yeah, lab coats are getting really advanced.
Really blinky lab coats.
Yeah.
What else was there?
Okay, let's
Well,
keep
it's
moving.
hard to remember. There's like 12 items.
There's
Anyways, we'll have it posted
There's
later.
a lot of stuff. And
Hopefully.
for the folks who watch every week, sometimes Google Plus Hangout is pretty responsive and the videos come in well, and sometimes they're a little choppy. We don't know why. We're kind of watching this too, so we're pushing the limits of technology. We're broadcasting and we're recording and we're capturing, so it's pretty tough on computers and bandwidth. But we have all those things. This week, I think people are actually starting to use Google Plus Hangouts a lot, so I think their servers are starting to get hammered.
There's nothing worse than, their servers
10
are
video streams coming in and out. It's crazy.
That's tough.
Anyways, last week we had Hurricane Irene. We were ready. We were so ready. We had tarps and
machetes,
provisions and food for a week, and nothing happened. But one of the things we built was this Mega Minty Boost. So what you put this together real quick, just in case we needed to like charge USB stuff for weeks at a time.
Well, I didn't want to be without like my PSP because I figured if we were going to be stuck indoors, I should at least play like Grand Theft Auto. So I made a Mega Minty Boost. We charged up a 6.6 amp hour battery, and it went into an Altoids tin with a Minty Boost, and I just plugged them together, and I was ready, and then nothing happened. But I'm ready in the future.
One of the things that was neat is Brian Jepson in particular. Google him and look at his Twitter stuff and his photos that he took.
Yeah.
But he made he called it a Darth Maul Minty Boost, so he could charge two things at once. It was a double-ended tin, so he could charge two things. And then he had a solar panel and a Adafruit power supply, and he was able to make a mobile hotspot because he was cut. I think he's in Rhode Island, and they were cut off from power for like a few days.
Yeah.
So it was really neat to watch people with our power stuff use it for the reason it was. And so maybe most of the reason was just to get back online, to show that you can get back online with this stuff.
Well, we were ready to like do something cool with like solar and hotspots and iPads and iPhone, but nothing ever. Like they actually said that they were going to cut off power in this area.
So the Mega Minty Boost, is that enough power to charge an iPad? I think the iPad is still a little finicky. I don't know if it can do
you might be able to if the iPad is off while you're doing it.
Yeah.
We probably would have just. I meant it for my PSP and our iPhone, since we have to make emergency phone calls. That would have been really useful. And like the GPS, that would have been like really handy. But I mean,
a little pro tip: the future is old people in cities afraid of the weather.
Yeah.
According to Bruce Sterling. So make a Minty Boost, everyone. Here we go. Monday's Labor Day, so for everyone who's ordering kits, nothing's going to ship out until Tuesday.
It's a government holiday.
UPS and Postal, everything is shut down on Monday. We're going to be here working. We're taking orders, all that stuff, but. Don't expect anything to arrive or ship on Monday.
Yeah.
So, there it is. Next up, congratulations. Something neat happened to you.
Yes.
I'll go over to this. Google Plus has a suggested user list, and I'm showing it. And when you get there, they got Paris Hilton, and they've got Richard Branson, and Snoop Dogg, and Britney Spears, all your old friends. And in the news section, they have you, Lamar Freed.
That's me.
So you're a suggested user in.
I kind of like the Google, but we've been posting a lot of cool stuff. We use it to get suggestions for product documentation. As a place, before we maybe post something up, we're like, hey, does anyone see any mistakes? Because, or not mistakes, but requests and stuff, and also to share we have the Google Hangout.
Yeah.
And all fun. We post on the blog and in Google Plus, and I think they're both. You don't have to follow both.
Yeah,
but
William Shatner is in the list of people. So I mean, these are all engineers, I think, from MIT. So that's kind of neat. Oh no, wait, they're just Paris Hilton's not. She went to Caltech for engineering, right?
No. She went to Caltech for physics.
Ah, right. I get those mixed up. Next up. This just came in right before the show. Infiniti, the car folks, have a commercial, and the beginning of the commercial is all clocks, and there's an Adafruit clock. So I'm going to go over to it. I'm going to show this real quick because it's cool. And here we go.
Since now, everything you know about performance motoring is in the past. Obsession for detail, natural-inspired design, and lines that flow with harmony deliver performance with grace.
Okay, anyways, that's interesting. But the clock is here. It's at 15.
I like that there's like the flippy clock, and then there's like a Nixie clock.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
So that's really neat. And it's cool to see your design. And
We are designers.
Yeah, Amanda Wozniak did the enclosure.
Yes.
And it was good enough to be in a car commercial that's just talking about beautiful lines and flowy flows and stuff.
This is a beautiful flowy line. Everything that you knew about IV18 VFD clocks has been changed.
Yeah. The future is here.
The future is here.
Every car, it's good because every car commercial usually has a car going down a windy road, but now they're finally focusing on important things like open source hardware clocks.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the Minty Boost luxury jewelry collection. Or
next up, this video that you were in, this is Adafruit News because we had our show last week, so we didn't get a chance to check up on this. You were in this entrepreneur.com video, and now it's on American Express, so this is kind of neat. American Express is using this video, so here it is. Let's show the first minute of it or so.
My name is Embroidery, and I'm the founder of Adafruit Industries. Adafruit's a company that sells electronic kits and learning tutorials and basically all the parts you need to do engineering projects that I design. I was motivated to start Adafruit because I love doing electronics, and I really wanted to share that excitement of doing engineering and building stuff because I think everyone has a creative side.
Okay, so anyways, you can watch that video
Blah, blah, blah,
on,
blah, blah.
yeah, you can watch it on American Express, which is kind of neat because we're starting to see big companies, big brands embrace, whether they even know it or not, open source hardware, open source software. So GE's latest campaign has a MakerBot in it.
yeah.
Infinity car commercial has an open source clock in it. And American Express is celebrating entrepreneurs, and two of them, yourself and Bree, are open source hardware companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have one of the things I don't have to do
There's
so
an
much.
Axe commercial with a TV big on it.
Yeah. One of the things I don't have to talk about so much anymore is like when is open source hardware going to become mainstream? Because I think it is. So I think it's starting to hit where everybody can see it. Even though like Google Plus is geeky, it was kind of neat to see you up there with Snoop Dogg and Paris Hilton, the other engineers in that list.
Physicists.
Yeah. Next up,
engineer.
we're going to move right along. So the Open Source Hardware Summit is coming up. It is September 15th. Don't forget to get tickets. They still need sponsorship. So if you like open source hardware, you like seeing open source hardware in the world, do go to opensourcehardwaresummit.org and check it out. One of the things that we're going to do, we're debuting this right now, and hopefully it'll be done.
It's not out yet, so don't ask.
In every goodie bag, there'll be an open source hardware badge.
These are really nice.
These little patches. Yeah, we're getting them made, and we're really happy with this. And eventually we'll have these included in some of our orders. We finally found, we think, a great vendor that's also going to publish the files behind the embroidery machine.
Yeah, so when you make embroidery, there's actually CAD software that you use, and it's called digitization or digitizing. And you send a PNG or whatever, a PDF of what you want, but then you have to program the machine, and there's software that does that, and it's not particularly cheap. And sometimes it comes with the embroidery machine, and sometimes like the really good stuff you get separately. But having good digitization can make a big difference in how good this looks, and this looks really good. I'm really happy with the quality of this badge. And also you can see it's got a mirrored edge. When we did our badge design, we had to do a lot of research about it.
Yeah. And next up, this is kind of an interesting topic. So there's an open source hardware list. It's linked on the Open Source Hardware Summit page, and it's heating up. It heated up a long time ago when we were trying to define what open source hardware was, and we got the definition. Lots of talks about the logo, and then it settled down a little bit, and there was a bunch of discussions about, well, should we call it open source hardware, or open hardware, or free hardware? And I think logo discussions and naming discussions are they have their place, but there's some really big issues that have been going on in the world of open source hardware. We finally got licenses, and that's what we've been waiting for. So we got a definition. We need to know what open source hardware is.
Yeah.
And we've been all using Creative Commons. So if you want to do hardware, basically, like people have been choosing Creative Commons not because it's the right one, because it's just lightweight. It just says very specifically right away what you can do with the board. It's not enforceable really, but it's just like, hey, I want to be credited. I want you to share it, and go ahead and sell it. Totally cool. It's just a very, very direct way of what you can do. Not what you can't do, what you can do. So people have been choosing that. Most of the open source hardware makers that people know, the prolific ones that have tons of stuff coming out, or like sheer numbers like Arduino with 300,000 Arduinos, more than that now, use Creative Commons on their boards. SparkFun does. Adafruit does. Evil Mad Scientist, I believe, does too. But it's not a license. It's not a defined license. So we couldn't have a defined license really until we had open source an open source hardware definition. So right now, CERN came out with one. There's an option. Came out with it just like a month ago. It's called the CERN Open Hardware License. And I'm trying to figure out which one is going to be right for Adafruit down the road. Now, it's a European license, and there's all sorts of discussions about that. If you join the open source hardware list, you'll see a bunch of discussions. I have specific questions about why they chose certain things, why they didn't. And then there's a Tapper license, which is kind of an older license that's been around for a while. And this is even before, I think, this latest open source hardware movement started.
Tapper is the Arizona packet radio.
Yeah,
thing.
this is like ham radio stuff from a while ago. And the big differences between the two, and the thing that I think I've distilled it down to, is the Tapper license says you have to email someone when you use their design. Okay. And the CERN license has something that says if you use someone else's design, they can email you and you'll have to tell them how many you've sold or how many you've made. And they want to do that for tracking stuff. Like if you give an air sensor away, there's a social benefit of this. They want to be able to track that. So those are like the differences between the two that are somewhat in the requirement side. And then Tapper has something pretty specific, which I'm trying to ask them to maybe change it. So with Tapper, you are required, this is a requirement, if you use their open source hardware license, to provide before and after files. So if you take a design, you have to include that file, and then you have to put your final file. And that would work if everything was text, because you could do comparisons, but, and you can explain this even better. Useful hardware has things that aren't text, schematics in PNG and PDF, or board layout files. They're not including those things for that reason to like compare it in like you can't do it the same way you can in text.
I think the reason that actually this is something I don't completely agree that it's a bad idea. I think it's somewhat useful because with text it's easier to do diffs in comparison, but with hardware, where'd you go? With the hardware files, with the hardware files, you can't do diffs, and so having two files to compare may be more useful because that way you'll actually be able to see what has changed.
So that's the major kind of hanging point for me. One is this email thing. I need to see if it's a real requirement because one, we don't want people to email us when they do this. We want to say what you can do with it. Go for it. Don't ever talk to us again. Like this is what you can do. And including before and after files seems like a big burden on the people who want to use this license, I think. Because I've never seen people include before and after files with all the things they publish on like GitHub or on their site that's selling open source hardware.
Yeah.
So until we have machine-readable formats for schematics and whatever, and for design files from the CAD tools, I don't even know if they're useful. Right?
Well, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I'm not. I don't know yet. I'm trying to research this because we finally have choices. It's like we have a definition and we have licenses. Yeah. So which ones?
All right.
Anyways. And speaking of, one of the other topics that came up on the open source hardware list and came up in our forums, coincidentally, someone said, I want to know which one I should choose, KiCad or Eagle. KiCad is an open tool for making PCB design tool, and Eagle is a closed source commercial version. They have free, as in you can download it and do limited things, and if you want to do more, you have to pay for it, of course. And if you put your files out there and manufacture using them, you're supposed to pay for a license too. Right. Make sure you read the site and understand what free means. Lots of people use Eagle.
That's what the site license at MIT Media Lab was. They had a site license for Eagle, and that's why I learned Eagle, and so I was just used to it. But a lot of people were saying how good KiCad is. So I'm kind of tempted. Maybe the next breakup board I design, maybe I'll try out KiCad.
Yeah. The thing that we were thinking of is we want to release a couple things and have one under the Tapper license, one under the CERN license, and kind of just watch and see how it goes. Release the files, one with Gita, one with KiCad, just see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to find ways to help the people who want to see KiCad and open tools used to get the word out for what they need. Sounds like they need people to make libraries and maybe support for the tools. I think in general that one of the benefits of being in the open source hardware world is we're kind of tool agnostic. We're like, look, we don't think it matters. Whatever you make your designs in, just put that file out. Whatever the preferred format for modification
that's what,
is.
Mako said when we had the discussion about the definition. He said that they had this debate over at the FSF, and they came up with the preferred format for modification.
Yeah. So I think that's a good solution for now because we want to be inclusive. We know that industry is all moving towards open source hardware, but they're going to use commercial packages. Some of them are always going to use it. There's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
So do we want to exclude them and say, hey, you don't use open tools, can't play, or do we want to say, well, put it in your preferred format of modification? And if someone's going to be a jerk and like try to like DRM files or do stuff, they're going to be a jerk anyways, and no one's going to want to use their open source hardware project. So anyways, the goal is to have, I think, open formats, export formats, and Eagle said they're going to, and we have a link to that on our site. And eventually, Eagle is going to have an open format. And what I think is going to happen is once Eagle has that, everyone will be able to make their own things that can import stuff, and then we'll be set.
Yep.
That's kind of cool. Next up, speaking of, this is a big week for open source hardware. Dangerous Prototypes, which is Ian Leisnick's company, who makes the Bus Pirate and is probably one of the more prolific open source hardware makers now. Definitely out there, has a great site. I read it every day. Wrote an article, and this is a quote. We urge Microchip to give something significant back to the community that are tapping. One of the things that happened recently, and I'll go to the article, was that Microchip released a, I'm going to say an Arduino killer, because this is what everyone called it. Like, this is an Arduino killer, an Arduino compatible, Arduino clone. But
that's what they said.
That's what they said.
That's what they said. So
that's what they said.
I think we can say that.
Yeah, they came out to our place before they launched, and they said, hey, Adafruit, Phil, Make, what do you think? And we looked at it. We said, okay, here's some things that we'd love to see you change. The Netduino folks came out before they launched, and they added a lot of this stuff, and they did.
Yeah.
One of the things that we said was, hey, on the box it says 100% Arduino compatible. Probably want to change that, because it's not yet.
It never will be.
Never will be. Next up, it says this is the first 32-bit
microchip Arduino compatible.
Arduino compatible. It's not.
Which
Maple.
isn't true.
Yeah.
No, it's the first 32-bit Arduino compatible. No, they didn't say microchip, they said Arduino compatible.
Yeah.
And that's not true because there's the Maple, which is the ST32, which is a 32-bit ARM. So that's not true either.
Yeah.
And then they called it like the Uno 32, which we didn't really like so much. But, you know what you can do.
And then we also said, hey, don't call it the ChipKIT Uno 32, because Uno is the name of the Arduino. I was like, that's a little confusing. And like that's just like being a good neighbor thing. And Ian mentions like good neighbor type stuff. This is all good neighbor stuff. They didn't do anything that's bad.
Yeah.
It's just good neighbor stuff. And then we had some other things. Make sure you support it. Like have people actively making libraries like really on it.
Yeah, and open source some of the, because we actually had, I've read, I read the forums on Dangerous Prototypes, and I've seen, like, there's a lot of debate because, like, the USB library and the TCP/IP library is on open source, and this weird license where it's, you can use it, but only for Microchip products, and you can't redistribute it, and you have to download it from their site, and so you end up with this, like, mix of, like, open source plus, like, slightly, like, free as in beer, but not free as in speech. Firmware, so we thought that would be really cool if they could open source some of those libraries as well, and they say they're working on it. Yeah.
So the big part of the article, there was a couple points, is, and this is just to be clear, so when the article first came out, it said that Microchip invested in the Arduino IDE. They actually didn't. They didn't give the Arduino team money. They didn't invest as in money. They just thought, hey, we can use this, we'll modify it, and we'll make this for our boards that we work with Digilent. And Digilent is the company who actually makes these. Microchip provides the chips.
I think Digilent has to do support as well.
Digilent has to do support. And the people who did the port for the Microchip didn't get paid. They even said, the people who said, hey,
they're volunteers.
They're volunteers. We didn't get paid to make this thing for the ChipKIT. We just did this because we wanted to.
Yeah.
And so...
the first 20% is fun, and then it kind of...
now they're supporting it.
Yeah, now it gets a little bogged down. But we'll see. I mean, I think that it's interesting hardware, and I think that it does have a future. I think that they need to spend a little bit more time and money, Microchip, not Digilent, because I think Digilent, to be honest, I think they got handed this, and they're like, kind of.
Gene, the guy from Digilant, he's awesome. He wants all these things to happen. So
But they don't have. There's no budget. I mean, the whole thing is, if you look at the pricing, they're clearly undercutting the price of the Arduino on purpose. It's like $28.95 or something.
Yeah, that's interesting. When the microchip folks came out, we said, for us to sell these like we do with the Arduino or NetDuino, here's the margins we need.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can't do it. I'm like, well, you could subsidize them as a marketing expense, but it's going to be really hard for people to sell these to be resellers.
And the people who are selling them can't support it because at $26 or whatever the price is, basically Digilant just makes a little bit of money, enough to run them the pick and place and like the tester, but they can't hire somebody to work on the ID. They can't do that. Which is, it's interesting. It's like people always ask, like, why is the Arduino, like, oh man, like, why is the Arduino more expensive than this 32-bit solution? It's like, well, the Arduino team has to spend a lot of time and money to make everything work.
So first, I think it's awesome that big companies are looking to get into the Arduino world. Microchip specifically was hearing so much from the education market that everyone wants Arduinos. Arduino. Okay. We'll get something. We're working on it. They got something. The expectation is that it needs to be open source in a similar way or the same way because it's tapping into that community. And so people are discovering that it's different than the Arduino, and they're not expecting it because they think it is 100% compatible, like it says on the box. Mm-hmm. They're expecting a certain level of stuff, and I know this is a new product, and I think it's going to probably do okay. But I think that they're going to look at what Ian is like a super fan of their microchip stuff. He uses it for his products. One of the things is you can't distribute the code in the same way.
Yeah, I talked about that.
Yeah, and the other thing, and I'm just looking at this article here, is the parts of the tool chain are still closed source, and they're not contributing open source drivers for the highly advertised USB and Ethernet features of the ChipKIT Mega. And the folks from Digilant, specifically Gene, is like, we want to do this. And it was really neat because we're starting to see what happens when a company wants to go open. There's some legacy stuff, old agreements that they just can't do anything.
No. That code they wrote. They just don't want to. They just don't want to open source it.
Yeah, maybe. But it's because this is the way they used to do things.
Yeah.
And now they're going to the open source world. They're like, hey, here we are. People are like, okay, you're so close. We love you. And all the comments around the web are like, this is great, but just do this next thing so we can really use it as a commercial tool.
Yeah, they have to actually do some investing. I think that would be good, and I think they might be able to. But it's unfortunately it's a bit of a catch-22, right? Because they're not going to want to release anything more unless they show that it's going to increase sales. But they can't increase sales until they do that.
So this is really cool to watch. Just by the way, it's awesome. This is one of the best things. We're seeing giant companies get involved. Microsoft did the Gadgeteer, which is a Fez and a .NET board. They have a reference design.
Yeah.
You see TI with BeagleBoard stuff going on. Yeah. You've got NetDuino doing a .NET. And this all goes back to my article, why the Arduino won and why it's here to stay. At the very end, I say, if something's going to beat the Arduino, it's going to end up being just like it. So that's why we all win.
Okay.
More competition. Great. Next up, going to burn through some of these news items. People are starting to do a Pepsi challenge, which is kind of neat. And this is another one from Dangerous Prototypes. Like I said, they're cooking over there. People are buying 2 of the same types of boards, and they're reviewing them. So this one was the Gravitech micro SD breakup board and the Adafruit micro SD breakup board. We got points for having an LED that blinks as there's transfers. We got points for holes on the board, so you can mount it and pull it in and out. And they like our SD slot. It's just being lucky with a vendor of ours.
No, but I do try multiple different micro SD holders to find one that I like. I mean, there's a lot of parts comparisons.
So we have a lot of attention to detail, and this is great. Both boards are great, and the person who reviewed this said this. It was kind of cool because I think the electronics market is starting to mature, and a lot of people have similar breakout boards. And I think you're an excellent engineer, and I think your stuff is great. So I'm curious to see what happens as people compare very similar products. I'm up for it. I think it's going to be cool.
Okay.
Plus, we can make improvements if someone says that. They have changes in mind. Next up, EE Bookshelf. Kevin Townsend, who works with us, he's an engineer, has been posting up some books. And great books if you're an EE on getting started or advanced topics.
Yeah, he's really into books. And so he said, oh, I got this great book. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Post it up in the blog, and he's going to. And he only has 10 so far. So if you have more suggestions for books you want to see reviewed, just email him or post on the comment on the forum or the blog, and we'll check it out.
Next up, this is going to be a big deal very soon. We're going to be away, I think, when this goes live, but
Yeah.
Arduino 1.0 is coming.
It's coming out. It breaks everything.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
like
why
no,
don't you just say it so everyone knows what's coming?
it's going to break everything.
Okay.
We're not going to support it for a long time, or not a long time, but like quite a few weeks, because there are many changes. For example, I2C is completely different now, which like broke one of our sensor tutorials. We're like, screw it, we're going to have to fix this later. And a couple other things change. Our SD library is getting added in, so that's kind of nice. So we like made a bunch of fixes to the SD library. The only other library that we work on is Liquid Crystal library, and that's pretty much the same. But there's a lot of underpinning stuff that got changed, but just be aware that when it comes out, a lot of stuff isn't going to work.
Oh, I think Massimo is in the chat, and Massimo is from the Arduino team.
Okay.
And he's saying Lemore dash 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 or dot dot dot. So he may have something to add in a moment.
Okay.
About this.
There's nothing. I really like Arduino 1.0. I'm just warned, and no reason not to upgrade. I'm just saying that our code examples, and because we have like 100 tutorials, some of them are not going to work. So we'll probably have notes until we go through and do the if-defs, because there's some people who will be using older versions, some people using newer versions, and it's that intermediary mushy area that's going to be a little messy.
Yeah. All right.
But if you're an Arduino Pro, download the beta and try it out. Try out your stuff. See what is going to be different, so that you can get feedback to the team.
Okay, we're going to zoom through some of these because we had a Software Sunday.
Software Sunday is the...
By the way, Massimo says the changes are not massive.
Okay.
We'll see, right?
It depends. Like almost nothing I did worked. So it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of sensor tutorials, a lot of things work. I mean, it depends. If you are doing libraries like me, it does change a lot of stuff. If you're not, then maybe it doesn't. But it kind of depends on what your definition of massive is.
Okay.
All right, next up, the Software Sunday is USPS. So this is the postal site, and if you do shipping and selling stuff in the U.S., I really do suggest checking out the U.S. postal site, which is USPS.gov, and I don't think it's .com. I think they grab both, and it's really neat. There's a lot of things you can do. You can get free packaging supplies. You can print postage actually directly from the website and get these sticker labels and stick. And we started that way. We actually printed postage directly from the USPS website, and we made a little script that entered in all the data, and it's basically like you only have to pay for postage. So if you're only shipping like 2 packages a week, which is what you might start with, then having this is a lot cheaper than having your own postal account.
Okay, let's keep going. Manufacturing Monday, you have a microscope that you wrote about, and this is for inspection of chips. I want to show a really big photo. So this is from our scope that we use.
Yeah.
And this is a super tiny sensor, and we use the Dynolite model 413T. Yeah,
they have a bunch of different ones,
Yeah.
So check out. I mean, I can't even tell the difference between most of them, but this is the one we picked up, and it's a nice little scope. It's short here. We were thinking of getting a stereo microscope because that's what we had at the labs that we had worked in, and we decided that we didn't have space for it, but we decided to get this instead. Just experiment with, what if instead of putting your eyes into this machine and using optical, an optical system, you instead used a digital system, and so you plug this into a laptop. So you have to have a laptop, but they have drivers for like everything. I think they even have drivers for Linux. I think it even just shows up with a camera, to be honest. And then they have a special software you can do like cool stuff with it. And there's zooming, and so we tried. Actually, by accident, we didn't realize you could zoom to 200. I mean, we knew it, but we didn't realize that we hadn't tried the all the way zoom. So can you click on the big image to show the big zoom, and then really zoom? Yeah. So this is neat. This is the TSL 2561 sensor, and this is kind of neat because you can see the light sensor. That's, I think, the big brick part. And then to the left, your right, whatever, the glittery part, that's not solid, that's the chip, that's the actual like analog digital converter and the logic and the like I2C decoder. And then you can see these really cool bond pads Those, I think, I don't know, maybe those are test points. I'm not sure what those are. I've never done low-level chip design on my own, but yeah, you can see these really nice gold bond wires that bond it to the package. So this is really neat because a lot of chips are epoxy packaged. You don't get to see them anymore. And this is cool because this sensor is really cool when we saw it, because it's like, wow, you get to actually see the chip. And that's what's inside many chips.
And this goes along with Tutorial Tuesday. So that chip is this little tiny one in the middle there. See how small that is?
Yes.
So
it is damn small.
Yeah, so we did a Tutorial Tuesday, and I'll go to that.
Yeah, this sensor is pretty simple. I just wrote a library for it. What's really neat about this is this graph here. Wait, don't keep going. Back up. Wait, nope, down. Stop. This graph is what's really neat about this light sensor. So a lot of light sensors are usually either infrared sensors like IR LED, IR photodiodes, or they're full spectrum photodiodes. And that full spectrum usually covers like pretty much like everything from like 100 or 200, I don't know actually, yeah, 200 nanometers to looks like about 900 or 950 nanometers. And that's neat, but that includes a lot of the IR spectrum that humans can't see. So this sensor was meant for cell phones and TVs and stuff and other consumer electronics where you don't want to detect IR light, even though there might be a lot of IR light. You want to detect what humans would see, so you can do proper lux calculations. So that's kind of nice, and you can also actually do true lux calculation with this sensor. So it'll give you not just like, oh, it's really bright or really dim. It'll give you like the exact amount of lux that the sensor can detect, and it has a bunch of different gain and integration times. So it's a pretty low-cost sensor, and it does quite a lot. So for digital light sensing, I think it's a nice option.
Okay, let's keep moving along. We're going to try to get to questions and stuff. We just had a lot of stuff this week. Next up, this is probably the most important Zencart Zensei we've done. If you run a business, we have predictive inventory. We're giving this away. It's open source code. It's a big deal.
The tough part is the MySQL call. But
yeah,
this is an interesting Zensei. So what this Zensei does, and this kind of doesn't make sense unless you actually sell stuff, is it will tell you when you need to buy stuff in the future, which is actually like the essential problem of selling things, because you have to keep inventory, and you want to keep enough inventory so that you can keep stuff in stock and sell it. But you don't want to keep too much inventory, because that's like sunk money. You can't use money in inventory. You know, like if we have $20,000 of Arduino, that's $20,000 that we can't pay rent, or we can't pay payroll. So you want to have a really good balance of stock and inventory and parts and everything. And so the predictive inventory system, and this is just some data from a really long time ago. This isn't modern. We try to keep about 1 quarter's worth of inventory in stock. Or we like to purchase 1 quarter's inventory in stock, and we like to buy it 2 or 3 weeks before the lead time of that product. Because some things, like USB cables, for example, which is the first item, they take only like 2 weeks for us to get, because we get them from a U.S. supplier. But then the 9-volt battery clips with 2.1 millimeter plug, because those are made for us custom, those take 6 to 8 weeks. So you want to keep track of how long everything takes so that you order stuff when it's time to order stuff.
Okay. So, good stuff. Crazy that we're giving it away. That's what everyone always says. Why are you giving away all this information?
I think it's handy. I'm actually surprised that it wasn't built into the cart. I don't know if it's built into most shopping carts. I've only used Zencart.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever seeing this for Zencart, but it's so useful, and it's very easy. The code we put up, it's actually a little different than what we use in the store. We modify it to make it more generalized. It's for general use, and it will automatically categorize everything nicely and be like all the categories you have and the products and the subcategories. So it's kind of cute.
Pathfinder Friday. These are JST connectors.
JST connectors, 2mm JST connectors. They're handy. There's no such thing as a 2mm JST PH connector that's inline. These are only board to wire mount, but that's okay. They're really easy to solder. They're not too fine pitch. They come in reels. They're made by JST, which sells some stuff through DigiKey and also through, I think, Future Electronics or Allied. I can't remember.
Next up, we have a new product.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Already talked about
Yeah,
it.
we talked about it.
Back in stock.
Yay!
We got these. You want to go to the overhead? Show these real quick. We got our solar charger back in stock, and and that goes great with this giant solar panel. That we
So
have.
yeah, we have these
You
this
could show
really
it for
big.
scale. Maybe what is scale like?
It's really not going to. There you go. So this is the solar charger board, and then this is a 1 watt panel, and this is a 3.7 watt panel. People were asking for big panels. This is so big it doesn't even fit on the screen. But it's a really big panel, and yeah, it's like 4 times larger than this panel, and it's really nice. You can actually charge lithium-ion batteries at like 500 to 550 milliamps, which is about the same as USB. So it's about, putting this in the sun. This is equivalent to a USB port.
Yeah.
It was nice, and
Okay.
I like this because it's pet covered, lightweight, but pretty strong.
Our big product announcement of the week was we have the iNecklace, the next in our wearable open source electronics.
I have to put it on now.
I'm going to show a video while you put the necklace on. Don't put it on yet. Let's wait a minute.
Okay.
Here's the video. So that's a close-up photo. If you want to put it on now. Or...
Maybe I'll show the box it comes in. Okay. So, can you go to the overhead?
Yeah, let's go to the overhead.
Yes, this is a little velveteen box that it comes in. And we get the box and the chain from Rio Grande. We did a supplier Sunday about Rio Grande. We haven't found a better place to get stuff from. But yes, this is how jewelry is packaged. We learned a lot about jewelry packaging. And then, yeah, there's a pendant, and then a 1.6 millimeter curb chain, and then there's like a clasp, so I can put it on. All right. I'm now wearing this thing.
Okay, you're gonna wear this.
Uh-oh. Cat's doing something.
Yeah.
Cat party.
All right, and then we have some photos. This is in the velvet box. This is from our photo series. Our models are all engineers.
Yeah, Woz came by.
Yeah, Woz came by.
And we said, well, here's the thing. If there's a storm and we're stuck in, at least we can do photo shoots. So we did a photo shoot.
Yeah. And it's an open source hardware project. All of the CAD files, the code, everything is on GitHub. Here's some drawings. This is how you do it. There we go. More drawings. And then we also have a video from it being assembled. So here's our pick and place video. Okay. And then here's the stencil area here. All right. Let me put the solder paste on there.
Yeah. Just finished.
All right. And then we have it. Hooked in here, and here's some of them being assembled. Alright. This is probably the most fun part here. So anyways, that's it. We're really excited about this. This is our second wearable. We have the iCufflinks, now we have the iNecklace.
Yeah.
And we are having fun with this. We believe in wearable electronics, open source wearable electronics that look beautiful. And we sold out first day.
We did. So we sold out very quickly, but we're making more.
Yep.
I'll show. Did I bring them?
What else do you got? Oh yeah,
I
look
have
at all
like,
these.
and this is like one
Look at the overhead.
of like 6 piles.
Yeah, we have a lot of these ready
PCBs.
to go.
I just sat and pick and placed all of these today and yesterday. We pick and placed a whole mess load of these. So these are the boards as they come on the panel, and then we break them off, and then we have to do the assembly. But once they're pick and placed, it's not too bad. We have a lot of the rest of the process pretty automated. So that's pretty cool, and we're getting more pendants machined as we speak.
Yeah. As far as availability, we should have more next week.
Yeah, sign up.
And
for
we
the
make
list.
these in North America, made in the USA and Canada. And we also have resellers. Well, these ThinkGeek is going to have these, Gizmine has these, and there's going to be a bunch of physical retail stores.
Yeah.
We're really happy with it. Okay. You have it's not out yet, so don't ask. We'll
Yeah,
go into this
we'll
really
do-
fast and we'll get to questions.
We'll do a quick one.
All right.
So this, don't ask It's not out yet.
It's not out yet. Don't ask. We're going to show you something that is out. Please don't ask about it.
These are modular matrix panels. These are the red ones. And what's neat about these is that they extend, so you can add up to 10 of these panels. And I think this is neat because some people were asking us, hey, you have the RGB panels, but will you ever carry monochrome ones? And these are kind of ideal because we found a lot of just signs. We didn't want a sign. We wanted something where you could like have one or have another one. So we're gonna get a bunch of these in the next week or two and put them in the store. And they're gonna come in red to start, and then if they're popular, maybe we'll get them in yellow and green and other colors and stuff. So yeah, they use a HT 1632C. I wrote a good library for it for the Arduino. So
these are super cool.
It's really easy to use. And it has the built-in scanning, so you only need like 4 pins to control it.
Okay, let's open it up to general questions. Whew, we got through that. That was a big deal.
Whew.
Yeah. Okay.
But we have plenty of time for questions. We have like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we wanted to save some time for that. All right, so
ask your questions.
Ask your general questions. All right, can you change your tips on the Zytronic soldering iron you sell?
I don't know if they make other tips. I kind of like the tip that it comes with. It's one of the reasons I decided to stock that iron. It's not good for surface mount soldering, and that tip is a screwdriver tip, so it should be able to do most through hole. So I don't know if they have other tips, but the tip it comes with is kind of what I would suggest anyways.
All right, next up, can you stock Antec soldering irons?
I've never heard of those, but if you email us through the contact form, maybe.
Next up, can you stock Wellers?
We can't stock Wellers, actually. We tried to, and they pretty much were like, you're just not a big enough company for us to waste our time with. So that's why we stock Hackos, because Hacko was willing to waste their time with us.
Okay. Next up, this one's for Massimo, but maybe you can talk to it. Okay. Any chance of incorporating the features from the SDFAT library into the default SDE library, aka directory scanning, next previous file, and directory, etc.?
We do. I added directory management and multiple file support into SD, so that should be in the Arduino beta. I haven't actually had the moment to test it because, like I said, a lot of my stuff broke. And it doesn't compile in the latest version. But I'm pretty sure that they have added the directory management, so you can't do previous file, but you can do next file. Okay. You can recurse the directories.
Next up, what are the advantages to the way Arduino 1.0 handles I2C?
It's no longer. It's no longer. It's now a subclass of print, so you can read and write directly. And I think Seek, you can't use like the raw I2C writing. I don't actually know because, like I said, it kind of broke a lot of my stuff, and I haven't had time to sit down and figure out how I have to port everything over. But they have examples, so it shouldn't be too difficult. But all I2C code will have to be rewritten.
Okay. Next up, is it easier to program a serial or parallel graphic LCD?
They're about equal, just one uses more pins.
Okay. Have you guys thought about a colorimetry sensor?
We have, but we have gotten a couple different samples of different ones, and we're not sure exactly which one we want to go with. If you're like, wow, I know like the best sensor of all, you should email us, because there's like 3 or 4 different ones, and there's a bunch of range and price and usability, so.
Okay. How thick is the acrylic used for the iNecklace and iCufflink so I can laser cut some different colors?
1/16. It's hard to get other colors in 1/16. We suggest using gels, such as those available in every lighting or theater shop, which are very thin. You just put those in front and you can have like any of billions of colors. Okay.
Is the LED board SPI or I2C?
Which one? This one?
I assume this, yeah.
You can't ask questions.
No. Was that one or is it... oh, yeah. Oh, trying to be tricky.
Tricky?
Okay.
Don't ask questions.
How do you Charlie plex a 3x3x3 LED cube?
It's going to be hard for me to draw a diagram of that. I can describe how to do Charlie plexing in general, but basically it's just a matrix grid. Is there something you should... Do we have a lot of questions? Or
yeah, we have a lot of questions. This might be a good one for the forums.
There's Instructables, I know, has like 18 billion LED cube projects, so check that out. I'm sure somebody's written a diagram, but essentially you can scan through it like a matrix, except it's also 3 high or 4 high.
Okay. Next up, what about file creation modified date time in the SD library?
That has not been added yet. We will probably add that in the next version. We have not had time to do it.
Okay. What GPS shield should I use for a high altitude weather balloon camera?
It's not the GPS shield that's important, it's what GPS you can use. All GPSs will stop working after a certain altitude. So what you should use is any GPS shield. Like our GPS shield has a SD card, so you can do data logging with it. And then also toss on a barometric pressure sensor. But at some point, it actually, like, you're in space. So it won't work. Even the barometric pressure sensor doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
That's okay, because it will start working once it drops down.
Okay, next up, love the new luminosity sensor, and I'm just getting into hydroponics. Any chance for additional sensors for hydro, like pH sensor, dissolved solid sensors, etc.?
That's a really good idea. I actually was thinking about a pH sensor, so that I could pH sense my pool. Wait, I don't have a pool because I'm in Manhattan. But again, like we're still looking at all these sensors. We're not really good to stuff because I've never done hydroponics. Although it seems like half of my friends in college did. So if you have some suggestions for really good sensors for this sort of stuff, just send it in our contact form. So far, like 50% of the people who've sent us suggestions through the comment form, they've gotten a product that named after them.
Okay. Next one, I can probably answer this one. How do you ensure your open source products are safe? Must they be government tested? Is anything that plugs into the wall just too dangerous? It all depends. There's government certifications and things for things that you sell in stores. There's all sorts of stuff. It all really depends on the type of product.
There are safety regulations for voltage. If you have something that's battery powered and the voltage is below 24 volts, that's considered safe. We're getting UL listed supplies, power supplies, so that that's one of the arguably most dangerous things because it plugs into the wall and it converts a lot of power. So, UL listed supplies are one of the things that we're moving towards.
All right, we're gonna have to try to burn through these fast. Can you provide a library for the nunchucky?
I haven't written one, but there's a lot out there, so I don't think I need to.
Have you decided what FPGA dev board to sell?
I think I have, but don't ask questions.
Yeah.
Don't have yet.
I have an Arduino and another board that sends serial data. I'm using the Arduino TCOM to my computer. I'm using Newsoft serial library in the Arduino, but the data sends me corrupt suggestions. I'm not sure if this is a question. Maybe post it in the forum.
Yeah, post it in the forums.
Yeah,
it depends a lot about your project and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Newsoft serial is pretty sensitive. You may be able to, say, reuse the serial port, or maybe you should just use a Mega, which has 4 serial ports.
What's the best way to validate performance of a 16-bit ADC?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It depends on what you want to do with it. I mean,
any chance of seeing a 12-volt solar charging project here? I need 12-volt batteries in the field.
There are so many products out there that do 12-volt lead-acid battery charging that, like, we have no real interest in getting into that. We really wanted to make a product that did lithium-ion charging, lithium polymer charging, because there was nothing out there that did that. And for small portable electronics, it's a lot more useful.
Okay.
The lead-acid batteries are not very
Is there any way to speed up the 2.8-inch TFT's touchscreen? I'm using an Arduino. If not, any recommendations?
The Arduino is running at 16 megahertz. It's just hella slow. I mean, there's really, if you're trying to push out 16-bit color with 16 megahertz Arduino, and it's like having to do even with the parallel port, even with the optimizations, it's just a struggle. There's a lot of pixels in that display. You really need to move to a faster speed. We will be coming out with a hardware accelerated display, but it's going to be a little more expensive.
Any plans for a mobile robot platform? Not yet, but one day.
Yeah, maybe.
I have some thoughts, but not ready for that yet.
We can take it out into the driveway. Oh wait, we don't have a driveway because we're in Manhattan.
Yeah.
We have a driveway or a pool. Or garage.
I'm going to try to follow your tutorial for laser cutting SMD stencils. What's a cheaper alternative to Kapton sheets? Would projector transparency work?
Mylar can be used, but we found that Kapton's a pretty good bet. It's a little expensive, but you get a big sheet.
Do you use syringes for solder paste? What size do you recommend for SMD parts?
We actually have a tutorial on this. We did a tutorial.
Yeah. Can you explain how the persistence of vision works with shift registers for large arrays?
Well, shift registers are really, really fast. They're like 50 to 100 megahertz. And for POV displays, you only need to update like every 100 hertz or so. So you have a lot of time to shift register. So, for example, with the spoke POV, you can write to all 32 bits, 32 LEDs, 32 bits shift register cascaded, and have plenty of time left over to do other stuff like look at sensors or go to sleep or whatever. So there's no reason you can't if your processor's fast enough.
Next up, does the nunchucky work with Motion Plus?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a weak question.
Is spin hard to learn?
Spin isn't hard to learn. There's really good tutorials on it. It's just hard to use, in my opinion. I hope there's not like 5 parallax people and they'll be like, it's not that hard to use. And I'm like, no, get out
Can
the
the
questions.
2 AAA EL wire power supply handle 5 volts in?
Actually, I think it probably can. It's meant for 3 volts, and I think it's open loop.
Yeah.
So I would suggest just getting 2 AA batteries and using that.
Okay. And then a couple people asked about the Raspberry Pi board. It's not yet out yet. We don't have them. We don't know anything
I don't know
about
anything
it
about
yet.
it. Yeah, it's like I have no knowledge other than what's out there.
But they have communities in the site. Go tell them how excited you would be for Adafruit to stock it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, if it's available, I'm not
Yeah.
so confident that it will be stockable, but if it's stockable, we'll
And last question of the night. I think we got through all these. Will we be at the New York Maker Faire? No, we will not be at the Open Source Hardware Summit. We will not be at Maker Faire. We have to go to Asia on a special trip.
Don't ask. It's not out yet.
Yeah, don't ask that we weren't going to be here. But we won't be here. First year that we're missing this. So it's a little bit of a drag, but it's the only time we can leave. So
Yeah,
we're going out.
but we'll have great photos.
Yeah, we'll have
Fun
some
trip.
fun photos. Okay, it is trivia question time.
Oh my goodness.
It's a trivia question. You want to do the rules?
The rules are, if you are our friend or employee and you're watching, which is kind of creepy, you can't win a prize because you just take stuff from the boxes here anyways. If you've won a fabulous prize already, please do not enter this contest because other people want to win these fabulous prizes. And the fabulous prize today is an eye necklace.
Yeah, we're going to give away a necklace.
They're out of stock.
Yeah.
We have one left over.
We have one left over.
This one. We'll put it in a nice box, sell it to you. Or give it to you.
Yeah.
So, this is a good prize.
It's a very good price. Let me see.
I can't wait till we do like a wearable LED lab coat.
Wearable LED lab coats?
I mean, maybe that's like the next big thing, right? So we should
I don't know.
cufflinks, jewelry, LED lab coats. All right, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. This is going to be a video question.
Use your eyes.
Yeah. What is this a photo of? It's a particle. Here's another photo. It is often called an anti-electron. Do. Okay, who got it right? MJ... No, sorry. Lopta1, positron. It is a positron. Lopta1.
Lopto,
Lopta1.
you are the winner.
You win. Okay.
This is a CERN-themed question.
Yeah, so this is the guy who discovered it, Carl D. Anderson. He won a Nobel Prize in 1932. The positron is an electric charge of negative... it's a counter... Yeah, sorry, it's positive. It's a counterpart of the electron. And a couple little quick details on this. That's from the chamber photo by C.D. Anderson, who discovered it. He was born today, like 100 years ago or something. It was a long time ago. And elementary particle, and
if our universe had been using positrons instead of electrons for current flow, then current flow would be in the same direction as what we'd expect. So so that shame that the universe didn't work out that way. So that first year EE students wouldn't be so annoyed.
Yeah, and this is Carl David Anderson, who was born September 3rd, 1905. He's best known for the positron in 1932, and he got a Nobel Prize in physics in 1936, and for the muon in 1936 too.
This guy is like a particle god.
Particle machine.
Particle machine.
So maybe you can show some of the things on the overhead. Lopta1, email us at support@adafruit.com. So you get the so you get the prize. And
get really close to this board. Will it focus? Will it focus? No? All right. Never mind. I'll show this necklace instead. That's a nice close-up.
That's nice.
Yeah. It's got this little thing on top. Silver chain. If you, we dunk the chain to keep it really shiny so it matches the aluminum because the aluminum is much shinier than the silver.
Yeah. Okay. And everybody's favorite part.
It's a cat.
And here's a cat.
MOSFET, stare them down.
Yeah.
He won't look right in the camera.
Yeah.
It's like he knows.
He
He's a little
knows.
camera shy.
The internet was invented for cats to communicate with each other, sometimes through pictures and now through live video.
MOSFET, tell your people to rise against us.
Okay, special thanks to everyone who showed up at the show and tell. Special thanks to Robot Girl who recorded some of it. George got here a little bit late, but he got here for Ask an Engineer, so we're going to have recordings later on in the week.
Okay.
Special thanks to everybody who's asked some great questions this week in the chat. Special thanks to Massimo for showing up in the chat and answering questions about Arduino.
Great.
And the changes aren't that massive, he says, Lamar. You should just chill about it.
Okay.
Okay. And for everybody else, we'll be here next week. We're not sure about the weeks after that, but next week for sure. I
don't know. When you renamed the main header file, I was really annoyed.
All right. And here is your moment of Zener.